Welcome back to Revise and Resubmit for another weekend book review.
Oh, yeah.
This week, we are diving into A Wealth of Well-Being by Dr. Statman.
Okay.
It's a fascinating exploration of what truly makes a rich life.
Yeah.
And I'm excited to jump in with you.
Yeah, we often hear about the pursuit of wealth, right?
Right.
But Statman kind of challenges us to think outside of just like dollars and cents.
Yeah.
He argues that true wealth is like this tapestry woven from financial stability, but also fulfilling relationships, purpose-driven work, and a whole lot more.
It's a much broader perspective.
A much more holistic perspective.
Than we normally think about. It's like he's saying, our bank accounts only tell a small part of the story.
Yeah.
There's this whole other dimension of well-being that we overlook.
And he even gets really personal in the book.
Yes, he does.
By sharing the story about his daughter's struggles with bipolar disorder. And it kind of really emphasizes this idea that life throws these curveballs at us that financial planning alone just can't address.
Right. It's not enough.
Yeah.
So he uses that to kind of hit home the point.
Yeah, and emphasize the real risks in life.
The real risks.
Right, that often are totally outside the realm of just market fluctuations.
Right.
It's a reminder that financial security, it's important.
It is.
But it's only one piece of the puzzle when it comes to actually living a really fulfilling life.
So we've established that he's kind of pushing for a more expensive view of wealth.
A much more expansive.
How does he actually define it?
So,
what are the key elements that he thinks contribute to this wealth of well-being?
Well, he introduces this concept of personal capital, which goes way beyond just financial assets. It includes your skills, your education, relationships, health values, even your gender and sexual orientation.
It's about recognizing all the different assets that contribute to a rich life.
The full range of assets.
Yeah.
And speaking of measurement,
Statman
brings up this fascinating comparison between Finnish and American citizens. And the Finns score very highly on what he calls evaluative well-being, thanks to their robust social safety net. But they also report lower levels of something called experienced well-being.
Interesting.
Describing themselves as kind of generally less happy, more prone to gloominess.
So he uses this to highlight the distinction between how we assess our lives on an intellectual level versus how we actually feel on a day-to-day basis. Right. And it suggests that security and happiness don't always go hand in hand.
They don't always go hand in hand, no.
It makes you think about different ways of measuring a good life.
It really does.
Now, another kind of universal theme he explores is this eternal struggle between saving and spending.
Oh, absolutely.
And he delves into like the psychological and social factors that shape our choices.
The psychology of it.
Highlighting self-control, social norms, even the influence of our family history.
You know, he shares a story about a woman named Meredith, whose parents had completely opposite approaches to money. One was a saver, the other a spender. And these contrasting financial habits ultimately became like a major source of conflict in their marriage.
Interesting.
Leading to divorce. A real illustration of how deeply these patterns can impact our closest relationships.
Like money becomes this unspoken language. In relationships.
Yes, absolutely.
It really influences how we interact and make decisions. And even experience love and security.
It really does.
He also touches upon the world of investing. And, you know, acknowledging the downsides of unwise financial decisions, especially for older investors who may be facing cognitive decline.
He points out that cognitive decline can be a real threat to financial well-being.
Especially as we age.
But there's some hope. He talks about how some investment companies are being proactive, trying to identify signs of cognitive decline and inform designated family members.
Oh, that's good.
It's a positive development.
It is.
Showing this growing awareness of the needs and vulnerabilities of older investors.
It's encouraging to see that some companies are stepping up.
Absolutely.
To address those challenges.
It's important.
Now, so far we've talked about personal capital. This saving spending dilemma and the complexities of investing. What other dimensions of well-being does he kind of dive into?
He tackles some of life's biggest themes, things like relationships. He dedicates entire sections to dating, marriage, parenting, friendships, emphasizing how impactful these connections are to our overall sense of well-being.
It's not just a finance guy he's going into.
It goes so much deeper.
Like the human connection.
The heart of human connection, yeah.
What does he have to say about dating and marriage?
He emphasizes the positive aspects of romantic relationships, like things like respect, emotional connection, shared financial goals, and how these can lead to long-term happiness and satisfaction in marriage.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Feeling supported and loved by a partner.
Yeah.
Definitely adds to our sense of well-being.
It really does.
Does he give any examples of couples who exemplify this?
He does. He tells the story of Mayukh, a Chinese man who reflects on these happy dating years back in university. He emphasizes that even though their finances were really limited, the joy and connection they experienced was really fulfilling.
That's a great reminder that sometimes the simplest things are the most enriching.
Yeah.
Now, from the romantic world, let's transition to the equally complex world of parenting.
The world of parenting.
What insights does he offer?
He dives into the universal challenges and rewards of parenthood. Acknowledging that constant juggle of work-life balance, the financial pressures, even the cultural differences in parenting styles.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah, he specifically contrasts what he calls hothouse parenting with a more free-range approach.
I've heard of those terms.
Yeah.
Can you kind of break those down?
Sure.
What are the key characteristics?
So hothouse parenting, which is often seen in more affluent families, is characterized by like a highly structured approach, scheduled activities, intense focus on academics, and a constant drive for excellence. Free range is more about independence, unstructured playtime. Kids are given more freedom to kind of explore and make their own choices and learn from their experiences.
It sounds like he's saying these approaches can lead to different outcomes.
Well, he doesn't advocate for one over the other, but he uses this really jarring anecdote to highlight the differences in these cultural norms. He talks about this couple from Copenhagen whose child was taken into foster care in New York City.
Oh my God.
Because they left the baby unattended in a stroller outside a restaurant.
What?
Yeah.
That's wild.
In Copenhagen, that's totally normal.
Oh, wow.
Perfectly acceptable.
Oh, crazy.
You leave babies outside while you're dining or running errands.
Wow.
Fresh air promote independence, but in New York, it was neglect.
Wow.
The authorities intervene.
Oh my gosh.
It's a crazy example of how cultural context can totally shape these perceptions of what's good parenting. It speaks to his point that well-being is this multifaceted concept influenced by so many things.
What's these factors?
Personal choices, cultural norms, societal factors.
Now, speaking of social connections, what does he say about friendships?
Well, he dedicates a whole section to how crucial they are for our well-being.
Yeah.
Friends are essential.
Friends are like our chosen family?
Chosen family, providing social support, shared experiences, a sense of belonging, all essential ingredients for a fulfilling life.
Absolutely.
You know, he tells a story about Boris Fishman, who has this really unique test for friendship. He asks new friends if they'd be willing to drive him home after a colonoscopy.
Oh my gosh.
Knowing he'll be sedated and a little out of it.
Wow. That's a test. That's a way to gauge it.
It's about knowing you have people you can really rely on, even in the less glamorous moments.
Absolutely.
Now kind of shifting gears a bit. He also explores the connection between our physical and mental health and how they contribute to this overall well-being.
It's all connected, right?
It's all connected.
Our physical impacts our mental and vice versa.
Absolutely.
What are some of the things he kind of highlights there?
So he emphasizes the interconnected nature of our physical and mental health. You know, pointing out that factors like stress, lifestyle choices, access to health care, even the strength of our social support systems can all impact our overall well-being.
He's advocating for a holistic approach.
Holistic approach.
To health.
Absolutely.
Recognizing that it's not just our body.
Not just the physical.
It's about our mental and emotional well-being.
Exactly.
And he uses personal stories to illustrate this.
Yeah.
Like Michelle.
Who
finds solace and focus through yoga during high stress and anxiety.
Right. And Analia.
Okay.
Who talks about the calming and centering effects of meditation.
Great examples of how we can actively cultivate our well-being.
Absolutely.
Through practices that nourish our bodies and our minds.
So important.
Now, he also tackles the often complex topic of work. And its impact on our lives.
Huge topic.
Yeah.
He dives into that multifaceted relationship between work and well-being.
Yeah.
Acknowledging that it can be both a source of income and purpose, but also a potential trigger for stress and burnout.
Absolutely.
He even talks about this concept of work as identity.
Okay.
How losing a job that provided a strong sense of self can have a big impact on someone's well-being.
For sure.
You know, he gives this example of Mayukh Turner, who was a former district attorney who felt this loss of identity after becoming a stay-at-home mom.
Okay.
People would ask what she did. Right.
And she felt invisible when she said she wasn't working.
Wow. It's fascinating how our jobs can become so intertwined with who we are.
So intertwined.
That leaving that role can feel like losing a part of ourselves.
Absolutely.
He also points out that the experience of work can vary greatly depending on your profession, your individual values.
For sure.
He contrasts the motivations and experiences of blue-collar workers with white-collar professionals.
Right.
He even quotes a pipe fitter.
Okay.
Who criticize shirt and tie types for being so focused on office politics and not the actual work.
Different work cultures.
Different cultures, different values.
Different priorities.
Yeah.
Finding a good fit.
Finding a good fit is so key.
Is crucial for our well-being.
It really is.
Now, he also delves into another potentially controversial topic.
Yeah.
The intersection of religion and well-being.
Religion and well-being.
What are some of the key points he raises?
He acknowledges that religion can be a powerful source of well-being for a lot of people, offering that sense of community, social support, a framework for living a meaningful life, guided by these positive values. But of course, there's a flip side to that coin. He doesn't shy away from the fact that religion can also be a source of division and conflict. He cites examples like the religious tensions in India or Lebanon.
Unfortunately, those are reminders of how those differences can sometimes lead to strife.
For sure.
And suffering.
Yeah. And he makes this intriguing point about the increasing intensity of political beliefs. Suggesting that for some, political ideologies are taking on a fervor similar to traditional religious faith.
It's like our political affiliations are becoming a new form of religion.
It's a thought-provoking observation.
It is.
About how belief systems are evolving.
For sure.
In our modern world.
And finally, he tackles the broader context in which we live.
Yeah.
And how these societal factors influence our well-being.
Absolutely. We're not just individuals.
We're part of this.
A larger social fabric
Yeah.
that shapes our experiences and our opportunities.
What are some of the key societal factors?
He talks about things like government policies,
okay,
economic inequality,
right,
cultural values,
yeah,
and how these can shape our well-being.
So it's recognizing our personal journeys
intertwined
with this broader,
larger context,
yeah,
social and political landscape.
He uses real life examples,
real world examples
to illustrate,
yeah,
like Jake DeSantis.
Oh yeah,
the AIG executive.
The AIG executive
who wrote that controversial resignation letter.
Yeah, defending his right to a big bonus.
Yeah.
Even as the company was being bailed out.
It caused such a stir.
It really did.
It exposed these clashing values,
yeah,
around wealth and fairness.
Absolutely.
In the time of crisis.
Real world example,
yeah,
of how societal and political dynamics shape our perceptions of wealth success and even what we think we deserve.
It sounds like this book is packed with
so much good stuff.
Really insightful observations.
Yeah.
Thought-provoking anecdotes.
Yeah.
That make us re-examine our assumptions about what really makes a fulfilling life.
It does.
And speaking of Statman,
yeah,
I think our listeners would love to know more.
Sure.
About the brilliant mind.
Yeah.
behind this book.
Let's talk about Statman. Well, Dr. Mayer Statman is a professor of finance at Santa Clara University.
Okay.
And he is like a leading expert in behavioral finance.
So not just crunching numbers.
Not just crunching numbers, no.
He's delving into...
He's going deeper.
Yeah, the human side of money.
The human side.
Yeah. What makes him such a respected figure?
Well, he's written several books that have been very influential on the subject, like What Investors Really Want and Finance for Normal People.
I like that title.
Yeah, and they've been praised.
Yeah.
For being clear, insightful.
Okay.
He has a knack for making these complex financial concepts accessible and engaging for like a wide audience.
So bridging the gap between...
Bridging the gap, for sure.
Academia and everyday investors.
Yeah.
Helping us understand not just how the markets work.
Not just the mechanics.
But how our own minds influence our financial choices.
Our own psychology.
Yeah.
And that's what makes this book so valuable.
Yeah.
He's taking that deep understanding of human behavior.
Right.
And applying it to this broader exploration of what it means to live a truly rich and fulfilling life.
And, you know, as we've been talking about all these dimensions of well-being, it's really striking me that it's not just about accumulating things.
It's not about the stuff.
Or achieving these milestones.
No, it's not about checking things off a list.
Right. It's about finding a sense of...
It's about balance.
Yeah.
Harmony.
Harmony. He emphasizes balance.
He does.
Throughout the book,
Yeah.
he talks about balancing saving and spending.
Yes.
Work and leisure. Ambition and contentment.
Finding that sweet spot.
Finding that sweet spot.
Or where we're making progress towards our goals.
Yeah.
But we're not sacrificing our happiness and well-being.
Yeah, it's like that saying.
What's that?
Life is a marathon, not a sprint.
Oh, yeah.
We need to pace ourselves.
Pace ourselves for sure.
Replenish our energy.
Yeah.
Find joy in the journey, not just the destination.
The journey, yeah.
That reminds me of another concept he talks about. Aspirations and situations.
Aspirations and situations, yeah.
He suggests that...
What's that?
Having these high aspirations.
Okay.
Like pursuing a really high-paying job.
Yeah.
Can sometimes lead us to prioritize future well-being.
Future over present.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At the expense of present happiness.
We're always striving.
It's like we're always striving.
For something just out of reach.
Just out of reach.
Yeah.
And in the process, we miss out on those simple pleasures.
The simple things.
Right.
Right.
A little bit of a paradox.
It is kind of a paradox.
Right. We're told to dream big.
Dream big.
Set these ambitious goals. But that relentless pursuit can leave us
feeling kind of empty,
stressed,
stressed, unfulfilled.
Right.
And he suggests that well-being increases either when our situation improves to meet our aspirations, or when our aspirations adjust to align with our reality.
Right. It's that balance.
It's a balance
between ambition and contentment, pushing ourselves to grow.
Pushing ourselves to grow.
But also accepting what we have.
Absolutely.
Before we wrap up, one more thing
that
resonated with me.
Okay.
This idea of healing well-being injuries.
Oh, that's interesting.
What does he mean by that?
So he's talking about how we can use different aspects of our lives to kind of compensate for challenges or setbacks in other areas.
So, for example.
Give me an example.
If someone is experiencing an injury in their family.
Okay.
Maybe due to like a child's disability.
Okay.
Or a strained relationship.
Yeah.
They might find solace and purpose.
Yeah.
Through their work.
Through work.
Their hobbies.
Or community.
Replenishing your well-being reserves by drawing strengths from different sources.
It's like diversifying your portfolio of happiness.
I like that.
Yeah.
And it's a reminder that even when we face adversity.
Even when times are tough.
We have the power.
We have the power.
To cultivate well-being.
Absolutely.
In other areas of our lives.
Yeah. It's not just about the challenges. Yeah. It's about how we respond to them.
This has been a journey of discovery.
What are some of the things that have resonated with you?
For me, one of the biggest is this idea of broadening our perspective.
Broadening our perspective.
On what constitutes a truly rich life.
Beyond money.
Beyond just the financial.
Yeah.
It's about cultivating purpose,
Yeah.
Nurturing those relationships.
Absolutely.
Prioritizing our health. Engaging with the world in meaningful ways.
He does such a good job of weaving together research, personal stories, cultural insights to paint this holistic picture of well-being.
And he does it in such a way where it's not just dry and academic.
No, he brings it to life.
It's stories and examples
he does.
that make these concepts come alive.
And that's what makes it so valuable.
Yeah.
It's not just for finance people or academics.
It's for everyone
like me one.
who wants to live a more meaningful life.
That's right.
We want to extend our thanks
to
Dr. Mayukh Statman.
Absolutely.
For sharing his wisdom.
All his insights.
In A Wealth of Well-Being.
Great book.
It has challenged us, inspired us.
For sure.
Left us with so much to think about.
I agree.
And for our listeners, if you're looking for a thought-provoking read, that will challenge your assumptions. And inspire you to live a more fulfilling life.
Absolutely.
We highly recommend
adding
A Wealth of Well-Being
to your list.
To your reading list.
Such a good book.
It will stay with you. Long after you finish it.
I think so.
And if you enjoyed this deep dive into A Wealth of Well-Being, be sure to subscribe. To revise and resubmit on Spotify.
You can also find us on Amazon Prime and Apple Podcasts. And, as we wrap up our discussion of A Wealth of Well-Being, I'm curious, was there anything else that particularly stood out to you?
Oh, yeah.
Any concept or anecdote that you're like, oh, that's interesting?
I think his discussion of societal trust and its impact on well-being.
Societal trust.
Yeah, he argues that in societies with high levels of trust, people just tend to experience greater well-being.
Makes sense.
Yeah, it's like when you can rely on other people and the systems around you, you feel a sense of safety and belonging.
It creates that foundation for well-being.
And he says people in high-trust societies are more likely to be engaged in their communities.
More engaged.
More willing to help others, and just generally more optimistic about the future.
Right, because you feel supported by those around you.
And conversely, when trust is low, people feel isolated, suspicious.
Less cooperative.
Right.
It's like trust is that glue.
It is.
The social glue that binds us together.
And when it weakens,
it undermines our well-being.
Undermines it.
For sure.
And he points out that it's this complex interplay.
It is complex.
Of things. Cultural norms, government policies, historical events.
All these things contribute.
It's a reminder that our well-being isn't just our individual choices.
It's also about the context, the larger context.
It's a call to action.
A call to action.
To build a more trusting, supportive society.
So important.
And that brings us back to the core message. True wealth.
So much more.
Encompasses so much more.
Than just stuff.
Than material possessions.
Right.
It's those intangible riches.
The things that really matter.
That nourish our souls. Meaningful relationships, purpose-driven work.
He said a belonging.
A sense of belonging.
That peace of mind.
Living in alignment with our values.
Couldn't I have said it better myself?
It's like our lives are this tapestry.
I love that analogy.
Woven from countless threads.
Countless threads.
And financial security is just one strand.
One strand among many.
This has been such a great conversation.
I've really enjoyed it.
I feel like I have a whole new perspective.
Your new perspective.
On wealth.
Me too.
And what it means to live a rich life.
This book is a gem.
It is.
So many good insights.
And for our listeners, if you're seeking a thought-provoking read to challenge your assumptions.
Challenge those assumptions.
And inspire you to live a more fulfilling life.
And a more fulfilling life,
Pick up A Wealth of Well-Being.
By Dr. Mayukh Statman.
It's a book that will encourage you to reassess your priorities. Nurture those connections.
Absolutely.
That matter most. And create a life.
A rich life.
That is rich in every sense of the word.
Every sense of the word.
And if you enjoyed this deep dive, subscribe to Revise and Resubmit.
On Spotify.
For more pop.
You can also find us on
engaging book reviews,
Amazon Prime,
thought-provoking discussions,
and Apple Podcasts.
Thanks for joining us.
Until next time.